nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'd like to say thank you for everyone joining us today and being here. I'd like to bring that today is, or actually this week, is National Police Week, and we'd like to say thank you to the Lunenburg Police Department for their service in our community, and it's a time to remember and honor our law enforcement officers. They started this process in 1962, a year after I was born, if anybody wants some history there. So with that being said, there's just a couple things I need to speak about first, and then we can go right into our agenda. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us here. So in accordance with the requirement of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page, and will be uploaded to the Lunenburg Access YouTube after the meeting. This meeting will be held in person at the location provided on this notice. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if problems occur with the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific items on the agenda should make plans for in-person or virtual attendance accordingly. A member of the public who wishes to record a meeting must first notify the chair and must comply with the reasonable requirements regarding audio or video equipment established by the chair, so as not to interfere with the meeting. The chair is required to inform other attendees of such recordings at the beginning of the meeting. If someone arrives after the meeting has begun and wishes to record the meeting, the person should attempt to notify the chair prior to the beginning of the recording, ideally in a manner that does not significantly disrupt the meeting in progress. The chair should also endeavor to acknowledge such attempts as notification and notify the fact of any recording to those in attendance. Is there anyone here today that's recording? No, okay. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result to these decisions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items that are not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Public participation is encouraged, and public comments may be welcomed during committee member discussions at the discretion of the chair. Please note during public comment that you have 3 minutes to give your public comment. Thank you. And I'd like to, again, make sure that we've called to order and we're ready to go. And the first thing on the agenda is public comment. Do we have any public comments? Okay. If you come up, thank you.
Before we do that, do you pledge allegiance to the flag?
We did.
Oh, you did already?
We did. I'm sorry. Yes, we did. No, that's okay. You scared me for a minute. I thought, oh, did I not? Yes.
Good morning. My name is Dave Rogers. I live at 82 Highland Street in beautiful downtown Lunenburg. And I'm here because I've watched, listened, seen, observed various happenings as it relates to the cemeteries. And I don't, for the life of me, understand how you operate. This is the most convoluted document to work from, this charter. Absolutely convoluted. Okay? My opinion. Okay? That in a nutshell is I could talk for 15 minutes, but I don't have to. That's the crux of the thing. But I have a specific question. As recently as yesterday, I went to the cemeteries and saw the length of the grass and the general configuration of things, and it looked unkept. And I was wondering if there is a plan in place to get the lawn mowed And I hearken back, I've lived in town here 50 years. I hearken back to the time when we first got here, and we had one person take care of all of the cemeteries, and we had one person take care of all the parks and recreation facilities. And now we have a plethora of individuals, and yet it does not seem to be up to the same standard. So I'm sure that there's a reason, and I'm here to understand that more directly. That, in a nutshell, encompasses what I'm concerned about. So, you know, and the other thing is, we used to have flags up and down the roads here. I don't see those up. And you know, I don't want to be melodramatic about this, but I am a 100% disabled veteran from Vietnam. I have Agent Orange, amongst other things, and heart problems, and it goes on and on. So it's near and dear to me to take some time and remember the veterans. And part of that is the flags at the cemetery, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I'm here for. It's very simple. All right, thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Do we have another public comment?
Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street. First of all, Mr. Rogers, thank you for your service. I wasn't going to get up because I didn't have anything major to speak about this morning, but I totally concur with the previous speaker's comments, 100% from one end to the other. I've been in town all my life too, and it's been 7 decades. I hate to admit that, but and I've seen the change that this town has gone through in many, many different ways, including the cemeteries and the parks degradation over half a century. And I wanted to also go on the record, which I have at select board meetings and finance committee meetings, that the charter and our town bylaws are a total mess. Every time they've been reworked every 10 years plus or minus, there's been virtually no improvement in the areas that we know we struggle with. And one of those big areas is that gray area for parks and cemeteries, where you have one entity responsible for day-to-day operations and another entity responsible for policy and long-term care. That's got to be resolved, or this is going to go on forever. Thank you.
I thank you. So, I would just like to speak as Cemetery Commission Chair, and then I'm going to let anybody else that would like to speak regarding this. And we're going to go a little out of we're going to go out of order here, because I'm going to bring up the next piece, which will go into what was just spoken about by Mr. Rogers and also Mr. Parcio. First of all, I would like to say thank you again for your service, Mr. Rogers. It's very dear to myself, as I have a family member that has been in the military and is a veteran. So I understand how you feel. It's my feeling as cemetery chair, not only as cemetery chair, but also as a citizen here in this town, that I was very disappointed in the cemeteries and what they look like. And this is why I can tell you that Mr. Bernard and myself got together with Heather the other day, and we started discussing again the issues at hand. It should not happen. It should never have happened. And I'm going to go down to the piece here where it says correspondence for Lunenburg cemeteries. Since Mother's Day, I have gotten bombarded with people either on social media, calling me, sending letters, putting things on, again, social media. And what I would like to bring to the public is, like what Mr. Rogers done, what also Mr. Parcio's done, you're more than welcome to come down and have your public comment. It's greatly appreciated, number one. Number two is that you're always open to get in touch of Heather, the town manager, and/or Mr. Bernard, which is DPW Director, regarding things that you see that are not appropriate, meaning in the cemetery. You're always welcome to reach out to the Cemetery Commission, but I have to work underneath the guidelines underneath me, or not underneath me. I have to work underneath them as far as bringing it back to their attention, which the Cemetery Commission has done. With that being said, and I've been asked to read this letter, and this person, Jeannie Powers Mayo, used to live in town for many, many years. And so I'm going to start with her letter first. And just to let you know, again, this was sent out to Heather. It was sent out to the DPW Director. It was sent out to Todd Holman, which is the cemetery superintendent, and it was sent out to the Select Board Chair. So in regards to this letter, I will start reading it to you. I am writing this letter, and it says, "To whom it may concern. I am writing this letter regarding the deplorable condition I found at North Cemetery when I visited my husband's grave, Anthony Mayo, on Sunday, May 12th. It was abominable, and it looked like it was abandoned cemetery from a horror movie. I moved to Lunenburg in 1970 at the age of 13 and attended the Lunenburg school system, which was a source of pride at the time. My late husband and I owned a business in Lunenburg, the Country Calf, located on Mass Avenue. We took pride in it, and it thrived until we had to close it due to my husband's illness. As I stood at his grave and observed the unmowed grass and the overall disarray, I was deeply saddened. Tony's brother, Ray Powell, was also a veteran, is buried in the row above him, and both their graves, along with others of friends, were in the same deplorable condition. Many of those laid to rest here contributed significantly to the town, and seeing their final resting places in such a state is disrespectful and shameful. I moved to Maine 5 years ago upon retirement, but still traveled to Massachusetts to visit family and friends. I reached out to Bill Bernard, director of the DPW, to voice my concerns. Unfortunately, his responses were disappointing. He seemed indifferent to the conditions and lacked satisfactory answers to my questions. I also contacted Todd Holmes, the person entrusted with the cemetery care, who cited budget constraints and workloads as reasons for the neglect. I certainly remember a time when, overseen by Greg Bigham, when this space to remember our dearly departed was well cared for. He worked tirelessly to ensure the cemeteries were well kept and respectable. During my visit, I noticed a grave covered with an old piece of plywood and 2 orange hazard cones and no dirt nearby to cover it. It was a disturbing sight. I question why such scenes are tolerated in the place of meant to reflect Solomon, or basically a reflection of being there. Sorry, I didn't read that correctly. Additionally, I am troubled by the destruction of the hedges, exposing the cemetery to an unsightly view of a nearby junkyard. I have spoken with other families with loved ones buried there, and they share my concerns. I urge you to take action to restore the dignity of our cemeteries and our town reputation. Lunenburg was once a prestigious community, and it pains me to see this in disarray. Though I no longer reside in Lunenburg, my heart remains there. Please do right by this once great town and work toward its restoration. Thank you for your attention in this matter. And again, I wanted to bring this out only because, and again, we have many on social media, I'm not going to read all those. She wanted to make sure that again, Jeannie wanted to make sure that this was read, and that, again, her disarray of what is going on here, she's perplexed with this. Now, please understand that I have spoken with Bill, with Mr. Bernard, and he and I and Heather have talked about this. And the rest of the board is more than willing to, or more than welcome to comment on it. And then Bill, then maybe we can go through and talk about this next piece?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for reading that. I have been driving through the cemeteries over the last week, walking around, I see two perspectives, of course. When and having worked with scouting projects there, basically, if you stand on the knolls and overlook the cemeteries, I would say they're really beautiful in the hillscape, the trees, the surrounding woods. So if you look, if you look at the whole forest and not just the trees, you know, we do have beautiful cemeteries with backdrops and all. But then if you get down and just start looking at the ground conditions and all, and items here and there, there's certainly areas for improvement. Of course, the lawn mowing, there seems to be a lot of areas that could use some soil conditioning and seeding. And then there's rock walls that could use some maintenance. And then there's just some areas where in South Cemetery along a road going back on the left side, it looks like almost tire tracks going down the grass that have been there for quite some time. So I think there is a good need to map out a strategy to address all these items and really make them look really nice. And that's, of course, my intention here, to work with the DPW and see how they can map that strategy and actually plan and implement it.
Good, thank you. Dave?
I agree with everything you said, Michael. However, I think this, in my eyes, it's been going on for a while, but last year was the beginning of a horrendous time for the Cemetery Commission, when it started with the hedges, and then after that it got into the maintenance of the lawn. And I just don't see where the communication is between the DPW and the Cemetery Commission. I always thought that the hedges were just going to be cut to curve nicely, and it got into tearing them apart so that there is really not much of hedges anymore. The lawns, I just think we're waiting too long to cut them. They just started this week cutting it. I went by North Cemetery this morning, and it was cut nicely. But before that, it was like 5, 6, 8 inches high. It was terrible. I personally think there just needs to be better communication between the superintendent, the DPW, and us as far as what's going to be done, when it's going to be done, and how it's going to be done. And I think right now what's happening is that just because the maintenance falls under DPW, they're not sharing with us any information about how they're going to do anything, even though we got paperwork that said what they were going to do, but it's not. It's just copied one after the other, same thing over and over for each fall, winter, spring. It's just a reflection of copying it over, so it says the same thing all the time. I'm really upset because I got on the cemetery commission because my wife was buried there in North Cemetery, and I just think that you can't forget people when they pass away. They got loved ones here, and even if the loved ones are gone, we as a commission need to take care of the graves. That even means down the road, I know we've been talking about it, but taking care of the ones that are broken, trying to find the money to fix it. Well, we need to respect the people that have passed away here and that have served our country, and we need to take care of them and service them. So all I can say is between the town manager and us and the DPW, we really need to get together and have meetings and know exactly what's happening. I think it's just, like the letter said, disrespectful what we're doing to the cemeteries now. There's 8 hours in a day, and I don't see things happening during those 8 hours by the superintendent or the DPW, especially when you leave the grass going so high a week or two before Memorial Day. So that's my comment.
Bill, just before to turn it over to you, because I know you want to, go over this. The one thing I want to bring up again, and Mr. Rogers had brought up, is the absolute piece that is so awful is the fact that, number one, is we should have that cemetery looking prestige every single day. It shouldn't be just for holidays. The flag should have already been out. My apologies. I will personally apologize to the public for that. The Cemetery Commission is all in agreement that something's got to change. We can't keep going. We're going on another year of the same issues that we had last year. And I'm hoping that, again, with working forward with this, that we can, and that the cemetery, as by this letter has stated, it isn't just done once. It isn't just done on these holidays, that it stays in that looking beautiful at all times. And whatever that means, cost-wise, people-wise, whatever, then we need to discuss that and try to put a plan, strategic plan, as what Mike has stated and what Dave has stated regarding that. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Bill, to discuss that next piece. And then we can maybe go into your maintenance plan after that if you'd like, or you can put it in with it, or however you'd like to go.
Okay, so that was quite a bit.
Yeah, sorry.
All right, let me start by addressing Mrs. Mayo's letter. Obviously, there's some hyperbole there with comparing the cemetery to abandoned and out of a horror movie. She's exaggerating to make a point, but it's a little over the top. It was not that bad. I spoke with Miss Mayo on the phone. She wouldn't let me talk. She wouldn't let me explain. She just gave her complaints over and over. I asked her if I could explain. She would not allow me. She did let me ask her if she could, if she was coming back for Memorial Day weekend. She said she is. And I told her that you will see a difference and to call me on Tuesday or let me know what you saw. She said I was indifferent. Again, I think that's more exaggeration. I told her I took notes. I could have brought my notes with me. They're scribbled notes. You probably can't read them. I tried to address her concerns. She would not allow me. All right, that's Ms. Mayo.
Can I just stop for that, just
You
for
may.
that one? Okay. So I just want to address again, this is a person, again, and understand that I don't know this person at all. She reached out to me on Mother's Day and had several conversations regarding it because she was so upset. In her eyes, I don't think it's fair to say that someone's over the top or, whatever the words were, Bill, only because this is how she feels. This is her passion. This is her husband buried there. If she felt that way, you can't, again, I understand what you're saying. Please understand that. But at the same point, I don't think that's fair to the individual writing in that, she's over the top. This is how she felt when she got there. And it was, I have to admit, it was a mess in there. Now, whether or not you want to agree with that or not, I think we have enough people that have said the same thing. And there's enough on social media that have said it. And it's my understanding from Todd that he also got some complaints. Is that true? That meaning you, Todd, myself, social media, have all gotten complaints on this?
Right, so in 2 years, I have not received a single complaint, but this week I did receive a handful of complaints.
Okay. Okay.
Dave brought up the hedges and how they were trimmed. So the hedges, as we know, were completely overgrown. We had, at the end of last winter, there was a snowstorm towards the end. We got a lot of snow, very wet and heavy. Some of the hedges were almost on the ground because of the snow. It cracked the main stems. So when we went in there to trim, anything that was cracked at the main stem was probably going to die, so that was cut out. That was quite a bit, obviously. So the intent was to just shape them up, but what happened was they were cracked. We had to cut out the bad stuff. There's not much left, I agree. I have,
Can I address that one for a
You may.
second? So with that being stated, and if anybody else, please, I'm not trying to just me talk here, is I think that the problem, and again, we've gone over this 1,000 times, I'm sorry to the public to bring this up again, but the problem is you are right, Bill, there was a bad storm, there was some that was leaning over, so on and so forth. But here lies the problem. If the hedges were done maintenance-wise through all the years before you, up until the time of you getting here and forward, we wouldn't be probably talking about this, because hopefully maybe they would have survived. But the problem is they didn't. And the problem is the lack of communication at that point, because you know it, that we had no idea you were sending someone in. You know, we, at that particular moment, I don't believe, again, in my heart of hearts and looking at what I've talked with arborists, that it was done correctly. I'm sure someone doesn't, you know, I'm sure it wasn't done intentionally, I get that, but all I'm saying is that we should have stopped at that moment when you started to see the first problem and say, hey, we got to get some help in there before we start cutting all these trees down. I think that's what the public is really upset with, and the fact that they can see across the street and what they see. I can't fix that, but again, what I can do is try to help in the process of figuring out what the people would like in that area. I think Mr. Rogers has come up with some ideas. I've given my ideas on a wall. Eventually, we have money that can be used. Eventually, if we can get it together to come up with the other part of the money so that we can put a beautiful wall in, if that's what happens to the public wanting that. And I think that's it. Mike or Dave, anything more on that?
This whole thing bothers me as far as, you know, when I brought up about the hedges, if you're not sure what has to be done, you call in somebody that knows about the hedges. It'll cost maybe 1 hour's time, but I was hoping that they would just trim it, go inside, take out the vines that are growing in there that are killing the hedges. You don't just take out the hedges altogether. We got now one whole row that's cut down and other hedges that you can see right through instead of having a privacy for the cemetery. You know, the whole idea that my eyes of how to treat the cemeteries is just like a homeowner treating their home. You know, you take care of the lawn every year, and you put grub killer down, whatever you have to do every year. You have a budget for the lawns, for the maintenance of the lawns. You know, a homeowner that needs, that's have too much cold air coming through in the wintertime, they go through and they call someone in and they figure the maintenance of taking care of the doors or the windows every year. You put a little bit of money every year into it. You don't wait 15, 20 years and then take a school building down because, you know, the school's in disarray. You put a little bit every year to fix the problem. It's called maintenance. And it bothers me that we waited so long and we didn't get the right people in there that knows about the hedges, how to take care of a lawn, and we need to fix that starting this year. We need to really know how to maintain the cemetery on a yearly basis. And we're going to need to talk about grubs, new soil put in, how we're going to irrigate it, if there's not enough rain, stuff like that. Otherwise, it's going to continue to be the same problems every year. And it's disgraceful for the people that we have buried there, in my opinion.
Anything more?
Well, my observation, and I'm glad a lot came up, because, if I take a personality test, I get the inspector being an engineer and all. So once I hear these things, I go look for them. My general original, working with scouts and all, are they're my beautiful landscape backdrops, but there are items to be done, and what's been done with the hedges has been done, and there are proposals to build a wall, or if I look, then you build a wall that pulls your eye from 0 to 3 feet to the wall, and above that you see intact hedges. And there's areas that still need further work because they were cut. So, and I think some of the words were strong, but I do see, with all the items put on the table, there are clear areas to address, and we can go forward and pick each one. And the other thing, I don't think we should be talking about abutters' properties, because that's their private property. If somebody wants to put a farm in or do forestry or whatever, I mean, it's their private property. All we can do is control what's our property, and
Right, and I agree. It's just the reason that is that Jeannie had brought that out. Again, that wasn't anything to do with us, because there, like you said, Mike, that is not our jurisdiction, nor is it our concern per se,
sure.
so.
Okay, just two things. We did hire a professional company to do the hedge work. They don't appreciate being disparaged at almost every meeting, just to put that out there. And the budget that I have, is basically for maintenance. What Dave is talking about is upgrades, right? Restoring turf, and other projects. Those are upgrades. That is money I don't have. I don't have money to do those type of things. That's where I need the cemetery commission's help at budget time to advocate for these projects. I tried to go it alone. They didn't make the cut. I'll keep trying.
And again, I think you're right, Bill, but I think the hard part is it's steadily getting worse before it gets better, and maybe that's the thing. We need to put phases in, meaning if you want to call it, upgrades, then okay, we do one upgrade a year. Last year, the grubs weren't as bad as what I see now, and that seems to go cyclical when it goes up and down. I think we have had a grub problem for many years. It's starting steadily. One year it might be worse than others. It may be as simple as because we didn't have a lot of snow this year, they didn't get killed off, if that's how they get killed off, so on and so forth. But I think the town, we owe it to the people, our loved ones that are buried there. And like I've stated before, I personally don't have anyone buried there. It doesn't matter. They all are very important to me in this town by living in this town, and especially our veterans. And that's all we're trying to do. So if there's somehow, and again, I know this is going to be bigger than this, so we'll have to keep tabling this, but when we get into your plan a little bit, is maybe we can table this at another meeting at some point, or you and I sit down first, maybe pull out something, and we start to see that strategic plan. Is that amenable to Mike and Dave again, that maybe Bill and I can sit down and start the first process of this? And you guys are more than welcome to give some insight on it, and then we meet again and discuss it.
Sure.
Is that,
Yep,
I mean, is
that's
that
fine.
reasonable? I mean, that's the only way, unless somebody else has another suggestion to how to do this, because there's a lot of items there, and we're not going to get it done in one meeting.
No, and I'm willing to sit with each of you individually, because I know you can't
Right, we
band
can't.
two
Yeah.
together. To develop plans.
Okay,
It's a great idea.
okay.
I just think also, when we talk about maintenance, it's just not cutting the grass. You know, every year, the superintendent, if he knows about maintenance, needs to let us know the grubs are getting bad, we need to put grub killer down, we need to put seed down, we need to take care of all this moss that's toward the back of the North Cemetery. I mean, if he knows about maintenance, then he should come to us or come to you, and you let us know what's needed and how much, it's gonna cost to do that sort of thing, if he knows about maintenance. To me, just cutting the grass is not maintenance. It's the whole thing of how to get a beautiful lawn together. That's what we do at our homes. That's what we should do at the cemetery too. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go
It's
ahead.
okay, and that process has started. So, we'll get into it as the agenda goes along.
Right.
Okay.
Well, it's up to you, where do you want to go next?
No, okay, so where would, do you want to go into your DPW director updates and discussions?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, so I think that will address a lot of the questions that have come up. It'll address what Mr. Rogers brought up. So, up until April 7th, there was snow on the ground. April 8th, we opened up the driveways so people can go into the cemeteries. So since then, we've had 6 full burials and 2 cremations. There's been rain on 10 workdays and 15 days total since April 8th until yesterday, and rain again today. So since April 8th, the following work has been done, and I'll point out the work is done by one man. We only have a one-man crew at this point. Every day, the cemeteries have been visually inspected for fallen trees, flooding conditions, safety hazards, newly damaged headstones, any signs of vandalism, and any suspicious activities. The American flags have been raised and lowered as required. The fall and winter holiday decorations have been removed and disposed of. That was at least 3 dump truck loads. Fallen branches, hanging tree limbs, any piles of leaves that might remain, litter, debris have been removed from the cemeteries. That was multiple truckloads. The pumps at the water wells have been reinstalled. They were primed and tested. There's a small stream behind the North Cemetery that the beavers like to block up, so that's been monitored periodically, and when there's blockages, we have to go in there and remove that. Dead tree branches or tree branches interfering with mowing operations have been cut and removed. Grass mowing began this week on the 14th. The grass started to grow just about 2 weeks ago. So with all that rain we had, the ground was very wet. We were afraid that the lawnmower equipment would sink into the grass and cause damage. That actually happened there was a couple of graves that were dug in early April, and when the backhoe went over the grass, it sunk right in, made a little bit of a mess. So we were afraid that the grass mowers would do the same. It did take a while for that damage to be repaired. We had to wait for the ground to dry out a little bit. And the backhoe was shared between the DPW and the cemetery. The backhoe has been used extensively by the highway crew, so it wasn't available to the cemetery. But that damage has been repaired now. Okay. So To help out with the lawn mowing, I reached out to 6 different landscaping companies to get prices. The best price I got was from Lakeview Landscaping. I also reached out to Katie Forster, the Bolack Brothers, Delakai Landscaping, Boudreaux Brothers Landscaping, and Einstein's Landscaping. Katie Forster and the Bolack Brothers, they're both available if we need to supplement what we have Lakeview working for us now, but if we need extra help, we can get them. And the other 3 companies, well, 2 said they're just not available, and the others wouldn't give me a price. Einstein's wouldn't give me a price. They said they don't mow by the hour.
Okay.
So Lakeview Landscaping and our cemetery superintendent started mowing on the 14th at the North Cemetery. About half of the mowing is complete. We were supposed to have the Department of Corrections crew come in today, and they were going to go to the South Cemetery to start the weed whacking, but because of the rain, they canceled. And Lakeview canceled today because of the rain, but they will be back on Monday to continue. Just a note about the grass in the north. I looked at it, it wasn't the grass per se that was very tall, it was a lot of the weeds that were very tall. They sprouted right up on us. If you go to the South Cemetery, it doesn't look half as bad over there. The grass is growing much slower, and the weeds are growing slower over there. So, in short, the cemeteries will be mowed, and they will be looking good by Memorial Day weekend. So, going forward, we've been interviewing for the 2 seasonal cemetery laborers, and we got 2 pretty good candidates. They're supposed to be ratified by the select board Tuesday night, so hopefully they can start Wednesday, May 22nd, next week. There is a lawnmower with a blown motor that's over at the North Cemetery, so I got a cost estimate to replace the motor from Fairbanks Power Equipment. It was reasonable, it's worth it, so that's supposed to be done maybe just after Memorial Day. So going forward, we'll have 2 big mowers and 3 guys working. And the Department of Corrections, they said that they would send a crew once a week for us to help out. So going forward, I think we'll be in much better shape. I think it'll address a lot of the issues that came up.
Just to hit on one topic, and it might have changed since last weekend, but last weekend when I was over at North Cemetery, the pump down the hill toward where the new one's going to be, the new cemetery, was not primed, or no water was coming out at all as of last weekend. I don't know, you changed it this week at all, Monday or Tuesday. And then the pump to the right side, the middle pump, I finally got it to work. I brought water over and pumped it, primed it, but the handle needs to be greased or something. It's really hard to pump water out of that. I don't know if you saw that or if the superintendent's told you about it.
Yeah, so people know they're hand pumps, you pump by hand. You do have to prime them when they sit for a while.
Right.
They'll lose prime. Usually there's a jug of water there, and you got to really work it to get it primed up. But it's something we keep an eye on.
Okay, just so
If-
you know,
if
it
people,
wasn't working.
Let us know, we'll get it going again.
Okay, so if you can let him know about that.
Yeah, some of our seniors have problems with that, and I think, I think it was looked at again. You and I had mentioned it. I think the thing that's discouraging, and again, I understand, Bill, what you're saying, and as the cemetery commission, but again, I look back to, I keep hearing about Mr. Bingham, that he handled all this. I'm not saying that again, the superintendent should maybe handle it all by himself, but all I'm saying is, it was handled before with one person. And again, justify again the hours. We know how the hours are, that's why we did the pilot program last year, to see exactly how many hours it would take to do the North Cemetery in a normal time frame, and also South Cemetery. So we have those numbers. So that's all we're saying is, again, it has to stay beautiful throughout the year, from the May or April time frame, meaning the last snow, figure out that date to get us to where we need to be, and then until we close the cemetery. And I guess that's the thing that I just want to be assured that we are all on the same page, that what we see at Memorial Days is something that always needs to go forward with that. And only a couple of small points is when you talk about 3 truckloads of Christmas stuff, I find that funny only because myself and another person did a lot of it at North Cemetery ourselves. There was very few things at North Cemetery. Now, I did not go over to South Cemetery to do the same. But I find it funny that there was that many truckloads of Christmas stuff, because a lot of people are gone, and so a lot of the people don't put things on Christmas. There are a few. And that's all my point is with that, and that's why I tried to help out. And I do have a volunteer that will help with that each year if that's what needs to be done. But all you have to do is ask, too. Like I said, if you need help with that, or to ask if we can, figure out something else to make that work. So,
I have one last question regarding Memorial Day is, how do you know which gravesites get the flags? Is there a
software.
report?
We have a list.
You have a list from the Veterans Administration,
Well, and it says it on Raymaker too, which grave sites are veterans, but the superintendent has a list and he makes sure they all get it. So, did I say
Because the
that?
reason I was
The,
asking, there are some gravesites
Yeah.
from 1800s that don't have any flags on it. Were they not in the service then, or,
Right. Oh, I didn't add that to my list. The flags have been put out at the South Cemetery.
Right.
We
right.
haven't done the North. Did I say that?
No, right, you hadn't done the North yet,
We
but the
haven't
South.
done the North, but the
Right,
South is done.
right.
so you have a list that,
We do.
from the veterans or someplace? Okay.
Right. So all the flags at the North will go out next week.
Next week.
Madam Chair, I'm here.
Yes.
So the mowing, and I've watched, it's like you did a third and another third in North. So what is the, man days to do a complete mowing of North and South Cemetery?
So we did a test program, and the landscaper came in, did it all in one day with like a 6-man crew, total of 40 work hours. So when the cemetery superintendent does it, it takes him 40 work hours, so it takes a week for the North. The South is about 3 days.
Okay.
So this
So
is.
in this time of year, especially with the weather, you need a constant mowing operation going
Correct?
by more than one person.
Ideally, yes.
Okay.
Right, and that's the plan going forward. Like I said, I got a second mower, I got 2 seasonal guys, so the plan is to keep one of those mowers going at all times.
Okay.
Well, they're part-time guys, so 5 days, 5 hours a day.
So I'm just going to read what I got from a company that came in, the landscaping, and this was last year when we did this pilot program. So on the North Cemetery, the average, 24 to 30 hours to mow and do the weed whacking. At South Cemetery, an average of 16 to 20 hours to mow and do the weed whacking. So what they did is they divided it by the men that were there, and so it's my understanding that all men that were there, a total of 4.5 hours, with 2 hours back then because it was in the fall, so we had another issue, which was the leaves, because you have to get those away. And 16 hours were spent on mowing. So again, we have the data behind it depending on how much, it is going to take one person versus two versus whatever. So this should help in the process, would you not agree, of going forward to know exactly what it takes?
Well, yeah, definitely knowing the hours. Now, that was their estimate. Well, I took the actual bill, which they broke down by man an hour, and it was 40 hours in the north, and it was
Okay.
just over, I think it was like 20 hours in the south.
Okay, this was his final, but, okay, so we're close if so. All right, so I think the most thing is, and I think we have to move on because we've got to get this, we've only got a limited time here, is that you and I are going to go over some other items to talk about how we phase that in, what kind of money we're talking about, what do we need, so on and so forth. I can tell you, I do want to bring up one small, and it's a very small point, is I keep hearing about this 501c3, and I want to caution all of us, because under the Cemetery Commission, we cannot have a 501c, or C3, sorry. Meaning, another party can do it, let's say that you want, some of the townspeople want to do Friends of the Cemetery, and they want to go and they want to create that, and they want to go and try to get money for us. That's wonderful, but we can't solicit, we can't have it part of the Cemetery Commission. So I just want to caution when, people or the town is hearing, oh, I'm going to create this, and this is going to bring in $1 gazillion. That's not entirely true. That's a little bit of disinformation, and I just want to bring that to the public regarding that. And quite frankly, I don't know if someone like Ezekiel, being the finance director here in the town, he probably has more information on this, and/or a tax attorney that deals just in that. So if that's something, again, that the townspeople decide that they want to try to help with, wonderful. If they want to, try to create that. But I caution everyone with that, because the Cemetery Commission, it cannot sit on the Cemetery Commission side.
I have one question on that. Can we provide the funding to start that?
No.
No.
Okay.
The 501c3, like the chairperson said, is we have to be separate. We cannot, none of us can be on the 501c3 board or whatever. It's similar to what the senior center has right now. I was on the supporters at the senior center for a few years, and they have supporters of the senior center, and they are solely separate. And this group here, whoever wants to come in, is solely separate from us. We can't tell them how to run their stuff, and they can't tell us how to run the commission.
I had made a call a few years ago to the Ethics Commission, and we can gladly, if there's some questions, we can do it again, is they were the ones that gave me the information to go forward. It's like I said, the Cemetery Commission, we just can't, any commission here in the town, it's not just us, it's if anyone wants to do this, it has to be done outside that area.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah,
Can I ask a question?
yep,
Relative to the discussion that we heard. And I
Want
don't
to get
see-
to the mic,
he
Dave?
can't say, he's all
I
right.
don't see a plethora of people waiting to be heard. So with your approval, I seem to remember that there was a $10,000 allocation in the budget. And at that time, there was still $7,000 in the coffers, so-called. Is that not true?
That is true.
That's true.
So how is it then that we don't have enough money to do what we need to do, but we can go and hire 2 part-time, summertime folks? There's something that is not, correct insofar as I'm concerned. But notwithstanding what I just said, you know, I go back at one person for the park and one person for the cemetery. This is blowing my mind. So I'm gonna ask a specific question. What has Mr. Holman been doing? And he's a friend, okay? But what has he been doing? Like, it pains me to hear that there's an engine that was blown. Well, that's the kind of stuff that you do in the wintertime. You know, you check it out and all that stuff, and you repair that kind of stuff. So what has Todd been doing as it relates to the cemetery?
Would you like me to answer? So I went down my list of everything he's done so far, right? And remember, his primary duty is to bury people, right? So he deals with the people buying lots.
Yeah.
He deals with the funeral homes, right? A full burial between all the phone calls, digging the grave, the ceremony, you know, backfilling, loam and seed. It takes almost 8 hours. So that's a day,
Yeah,
you know, for each burial. So we had, what did I say?
true.
We had 2 cremations. A cremation's about a half a day, doesn't take as long. We had 6 full burials, right? So he's been busy. He's been working out there every day. One more thing that you brought up. You brought up about the flags that are usually downtown here on the telephone poles. We usually put those up the week before Memorial Day, so they're going up next week. Yeah,
Just wanted to know.
yeah.
And thank you for cutting me some slack, but, you know, once again, this has got to be taken care of, because this is not rocket science. You know, and if you'd like, I can muster some forces and you know, get the town manager to jump into this thing, because this is crazy, absolutely crazy. I don't know how you guys do it. It's so frustrating. I would pull my hair out, and it doesn't have to be. This is not General Motors, okay? It's a little, you know, so anyway. I think I understand, I think you understand, and I want to leave you with this one thought. And this should not be construed as anything but what I'm telling you. If you need help, I will head up a group, and I know I can get people there to help and to do stuff. If that's what it takes, one time, okay? Because this just cannot go on, okay? So my former neighbor, Mr. Passios, who has a wealth of knowledge and connections, and frankly, he's retired. He doesn't do a damn thing.
He makes birdhouses, though.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Thank
and
you.
thank you for your thoughts, and thank you for, you know, speaking out. And I think, again, it is very frustrating to us. I think we're, you know, having Mike on board can help another set of eyes that we can, you know, try to get this together and try to make this better. Absolutely. That is my promise to not only myself, but to the Cemetery Commission, is that it needs to, you're absolutely correct. This is not rocket science.
Thank you.
Thank you.
for your time.
Okay, so with that being said, do you want to review the minutes and then we can approve that? Did you read those already?
Sure.
Okay. Have you read them?
No.
Okay,
Yep.
and then we'll approve that.
I make a motion that we accept the minutes.
Did you finish reading?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I make a motion we accept the minutes from April 25th.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. All right, so, let's see, where do we want to go next? I want to bring to the attention, and it will go in with the piece for DPW maintenance plan, is, I just happened to get this from Lakeview the other day, which is to trim the shrubs over at South Cemetery. We're trying to, again, where they're the ones started on it, to make sure that they look the same that they have been looking. They've been growing well. I think Bill and I talked about, it seems like it's every couple of years, maybe every third year. The only piece with this particular quote that I have is that Heather has asked that we make sure there's a description on there, which I did call out to Matt, and unfortunately, he didn't get back to me right away, which I know he will. He's very busy, and like I said, and we'll just change that, we'll have a description in it. But is that fine? This will have to be taken out of the cemetery commission money to take care of these hedges, because you don't have anything extra for that. Is that correct, Bill?
Well, right now, yeah, I really don't have the money, but come July 1, I will. My other question for Lakeview is this the right time of year to do the trimming?
He may just tell me, I want to push it out a couple of months or something, so I don't know that. So if we're too premature on this, we can vote on this the next time in June. I just wanted to bring it to your attention. We're looking at, would we say, $2,500, $2,600 for it. What's your thought, Mike and Dave? Do you want to approve this now, or do you want to wait? We'll make sure we get the description put on it, and then, as Bill said, find out what the time frame is. You're saying once you hit July, you should have it. Because what I would like to see us, and again, that strategic plan, is to go through everything to see exactly what needs to be done and where our money is going to be best needed at that point in time. Would you agree?
Yes, I'd like to see the description change
Okay.
and then have a chance just to look one more time at the shrubs.
Okay.
With the,
Okay, so we'll table that too. We'll put that for June, and I'll put it on here.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I want to go to one piece too, is, Bill, you and I went down to South Cemetery and we looked at a gravestone area that the parties has lost their son only probably a few months ago. And is requesting, he has 3 lots, and he's requesting to put another gravestone there. There's one gravestone that is already there. I had Bill go down with me to say, is there any reasons on the DPW side why we cannot accommodate this by putting another grave site there? In the rules and regulations, it states, you can only have so many grave sites and a foot marker. I would like to help this family out to say that we, as a cemetery commission, can vote it in. That's why I brought Bill down. Is there anything that you would like to say on that, Bill? I know I've called the party back and told them it has to be, there's a stone that's right next to his stone, and he can't go any bigger than that stone. So it would be his larger stone. We either move it to the left or the right, depending on what he decides, and then another small stone is put in there. But I would like a motion regarding that, or if there's any questions today, or if Bill would like to speak up.
Yeah, so we did look at it. There's enough room to put in another 2x1 stone. The original stone's a little bit oversized, so it'd have to be moved over a little bit.
Right.
It does add a tiny bit of maintenance, minuscule, so that end I don't have a problem with. But just in general, these type of requests, they're outside the rules. Not usually in favor of it, but it is your decision.
Okay. Are you both okay with this? Where, again, I made sure that the DPW came down. If there was a reason that he thought it couldn't be done, then we would discuss that too, but it is our jurisdiction to vote and say yay or nay on this.
I'm okay with it.
Okay,
I'm okay with it.
all right.
I make a motion.
You make a motion?
We allow the person to put an extra stone in there and move the current stone over.
Okay,
I'll second.
second, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. So I will call the family back and let them know that it has been approved, and they can do that. As we're talking about that, I did have the Riley family come in, and they saw me at the gravesite the other day. There's a situation, I don't think we need to vote on it, but I wanted to bring it up to the commission to see if there is a need for it. There is a family member that they have that passed away over in Hawaii. She will be buried over in Hawaii, but she grew up here. The Riley family has been here for many, many years. And they would like to, in honor of her, put a little memorial on their actual gravestone. I don't think that's something the Cemetery Commission really needs to vote on per se, unless someone feels differently about it. That my feeling is that is a family issue, and as long as she, again, grew up here, which she did, the Riley family is still here. They just want to honor her, knowing that they won't be able to bring her back here to bury her. Does anybody have any problem with
I
that?
just have a question. So there's an existing headstone for other family members?
No, there's the existing stone I'm just using the Riley family. On the Riley family, it goes down through the ones that are already buried there. They just want to put a little memorial. They know she's not buried here, but just to put her name on there because she has been part of this town for many years. She moved away, and they cannot bring this, obviously, the body back.
So they just want to engrave?
They just want to
her name?
engrave.
I have no issue with that at all.
Okay.
No, that's-
And I'm not even sure
We don't need to
that
vote on it.
we should even think about voting on something like that when it's a family. Is there any thoughts on that, Michael?
No, from visiting my parents and in-laws' grave and watching new stones, people tend to put some fairly elaborate inscriptions on, so I don't see
Okay,
why people adding inscriptions to
okay.
a
So I'm
stone.
going to just say that we talked about it, but we don't feel that there needs to be a vote or anything regarding this.
Right.
Okay. All right, I will call that family back and tell them that they are all set. I'm just going to jump down to Rainmaker for a minute, because I'm trying to get the things that we need to get and get going, and then leave the maintenance plan, and if we run out of time, then we'll, again, talk about this together and then
Talk
get
about
back.
the flowers also.
Yep. So the Rainmaker piece is, there's some family members, I just want to bring it to the attention of the board. There's a few family members that are looking for more graves, open graves at the North Cemetery. And if I talked to Bill regarding this, if it's possible, could we have a printout exactly where a set of 3 and a set of 6 can show exactly in the cemetery where they are, where they're open, so people can literally take the piece of paper and walk down. I know it's on, I understand it's on the computer and all. It's my understanding Sam also goes into Rainmaker?
Usually not, no.
Oh, okay. But she did print something out for someone else the other day. So,
That's a specific location.
okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
all I'm asking is that possible that we can take care of that?
Yeah, so I started to look into that, and there was some areas with, I focused mostly on the 6 plots.
Yep.
And there was some areas with the 6. So I met the cemetery superintendent out at the north, and
Yep.
we looked at those areas. Now, some of them are in the areas where the 1800s or the 1700 stones. I really don't think we should be digging there. There is a chance there's unmarked graves.
Yeah,
We don't
okay.
want to hit bones. My suggestion on those is to call Rainmaker and say, block these out as, you know,
All right, I've got to
unavailable.
call into them anyway. Okay, yeah.
So there's a few of those. There's a couple of spots where you can get 6. Most of the remaining open spots are up by the flagpole and the mausoleum.
When I was looking, there was down past, and maybe that's in the 17th, but where the flagpoles are here, and then this section right here?
Yeah,
Is that where you're talking about?
Yeah, some
And
of
that's where
those-
you don't want to dig?
Yeah,
Because
those-
there were open ones there?
yeah, there are, again, it's the 1800 section, and
Okay,
it's a risk digging in there, and I
Okay.
don't think we want to take that risk.
no, okay.
Yeah.
So I guess, if we could just have what's open, because I keep hearing there's 100 open, but it doesn't seem like there is then, if those you can't, which I understand why you're saying that, but it doesn't seem like there's that many left.
Yeah, so there would be less than 100. Yeah, it's
I was told 40
something
to
we
60.
need to get a better handle on, and,
Okay, can we, for the next meeting, can we get a better handle on that? Can we,
yeah, so,
Okay.
like I said, I've started the process, I have some scribbled notes, I was gonna bring them, but you probably can't read my hand scratch, so.
all right, so I'm going to put that for the June. Is everybody okay with that? That we
Sure.
discuss that? Okay. The other piece is, we have no flowers yet for the front entrance of the north and south cemetery. I just want to understand it, Bill. It's my understanding when you had the other person last year, who's been doing it for a few years, and she's done a beautiful job, is that she doesn't want to do it again this year because she was told that she could have help with watering, and it never happened, and she kept watering. So I don't think she wants the responsibility of that, which I understand. So what's your suggestion? Because we can go back to the day-to-day, to this, to that, to the cemetery. How do you perceive this?
Right, so, I believe her name was Helen Balcom, and I agree, she did a great job, the flowers look beautiful. I don't know why she left, but she told the superintendent recently that she couldn't do it anymore. We did reach out to Lakeview Landscaping, they said that they could do it.
Oh.
They haven't given me a price.
Okay,
They
can they get it
do-
ready, can they do it can they get it ready soon, to get it ready
I
for?
would think so, they've been very accommodating.
Okay,
When you say they can do it, does that mean they're going to water every time? Or
Well,
is the
watering-
superintendent going to water?
Yeah.
'Cause that's
Last-
part of maintenance.
Yeah, so last year, I didn't have the 2 seasonal laborers, and they took care of it, right? We had the 2 young ladies did a great job for us. We didn't have them last year, so that made it harder to do things like watering the flowers. This year we'll have them.
you know that one year the cemetery commission took it on.
Oh, thank you.
So we did a lot of watering, and that's what, I don't, like I said, we all have to vote on this, but I don't mind paying someone but we need it done, or it falls underneath the maintenance of, the superintendent.
Yeah, so I think this year with the 2 extra helpers, that's something they could do first thing in the morning.
Okay.
Before they jump on a mower.
Sounds good.
And then Helen graciously said she'd put a sketch together of how she planted the flowers.
Perfect.
Yeah, so.
All right, so you're
I'll reach
gonna,
out to Lakeview and see if they
Okay.
can get it done.
can you get back to me next week early, so we know?
Yeah.
Okay,
If Lakeview's doing it, I have high confidence in them because they're the ones that tell me how to put it into my wife's cemetery. He lays it all out for me. So.
right, so we
I'm
may not, I
sure
mean,
We
that's,
may not need Helen
Okay,
if you're going to use Lakeview. Alec is very professional. I think she's one of the supervisors there. That'll tell us how to lay out the flowers and what flowers to use even.
okay, I will call them today.
Yeah, that'd be
okay.
good.
And so, I think once we have that number, is everybody in agreement that the cemetery commission will pay, we've always paid for those flowers in the past?
I'm in agreement.
Sure.
Is that an agreement?
Yeah.
Okay, again, it's not going to be an overabundance of, money.
Shouldn't be.
So, I know I don't have a figure right now, but we'll say Up to $500, I'm probably way over.
Yeah, you're right over. yeah.
But if we say up to $500, we're all in agreement that we will pay for that?
Yes.
Okay. Who wants to make a motion?
Make a motion that we have Lakeview do the flowers for the north and south front cemeteries and
Up to $500.
$500.
All right. Second?
Second.
All right, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
We should probably add in there that the DPW is going to do the watering for this
Yep,
spring and summer.
okay. On that same note, let's talk about the illumination solar lights that I have been brought to my attention again by someone in the town that absolutely, I agree. I feel very bad that we haven't had those lights there. In fact, Bill, didn't you tell me that there was lights there a while ago?
Yeah, so I was told that solar lights were installed. They turned out to be low quality and only lasted about a year.
Okay,
And just another note, we did get a cost estimate to run electricity over to the flagpoles. Not sure if I had that in my capital plan. It might have been buried in there. It was kind of expensive, so.
well, and I think the thing is, I mean, I think when we brought that up, and I won't go back in time, but I'm going to real quick, is the cemetery commission, when that building was first put together, we asked about having electricity over there, and we were told by the superintendent, absolutely, you don't need it, don't worry about it, didn't think about it. So that was the time to do it, not now. That's my interpretation of what went on at that point in time when I was not the chair at that point in time, but that was definitely brought up about the electricity. So we're trying to find a way, and in fact, I was given an estimate of the illumination lighting, and it's, I don't know if I have it here, but I would like to work with getting that done and also seeing if it was my understanding there's someone else that's trying to do this in the town, and if we could coordinate that, that would be wonderful. And I think that, I don't have the numbers right here, I want to say it's, oh, here it is. They're saying on Amazon, they're like $39.99.
How
And
powerful are they?
and-
With illumination.
we can reach out and see, again, I had talked to Sue Doherty regarding this on Lunenburg Council on Aging, and she said that Dawn from Facilities requested and she ordered it, so that's who kind of did the legwork on this. Is everybody in agreement that, again, we can take money out of the budget for South Cemetery and North Cemetery and pay for this to get that done, and then coordinate it somehow, if that's DPW, if that's from Dawn from Facilities, so on and so forth, to get that done?
Again, I just caution that we make sure we buy lights that are gonna last.
Right.
You know, $39.99 sounds great, but if they don't last the summer, what's the point? To install them, it's gonna be the biggest cost. It's, you'll have to have well, you may not need an electrician, but you'll need a person and a man lift to do
Right.
it, so.
Okay. Is that something that you can, on the does that fall under your piece as far as the DPW of doing that? Or do I have to go to the facility manager for that?
Yeah, no, I'll talk with our facilities director, see what he knows about solar lighting.
Okay,
And I could talk to an electrician about it.
okay,
Yeah, because technically it's not a maintenance thing, it's,
okay.
so.
So do we want to table this one? I hate to keep tabling
No,
things.
I think we should,
Well, but we don't know, what you're saying is you don't have a total price yet.
Right, we don't have a cost.
And this is mounting, oh, I was thinking when you said solar, they'd be on the ground pointing up, but you're talking about something you're gonna mount on the top of the main flagpole?
Either on the top or underneath it where it illuminates up. Now, maybe maybe we could do something like that, it brings it up, and then you wouldn't have to have anybody climbing or having anybody going up on the pole, I don't know.
Yeah, to me, if you're gonna mount it on the pole, you probably want it high enough that nobody's gonna be reaching up there and knocking them down. or,
Okay.
You know, bumping into them. And it depends on the lights, how, bright they are. They might have to be closer.
Aren't most of the lights on the ground shining up, the illumination to the American flag? I never saw anything that's on the
On
poles.
the town common, the light is on the ground,
On the
right?
ground, no,
Shining up.
shining up.
That was a Eagle project, too.
Was that solar?
No, that's AC.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the problem, okay. Again, can I hand that to someone that, or do you need me to go, do you need us to go research more on the solar? Because again, this was done by Sue, and they're going to go with this one, $39.99, one that they're looking on Amazon. It's,
I don't think that's, $39.99 is gonna have enough illumination to shine all the way up there. Maybe it would, I don't know.
No, don't, we have, they were doing the solar lights on the, utility poles, right?
the green,
The green communities?
those aren't solar.
Oh, they're not?
The LED.
Oh, LED lights, okay. Oh, okay. But would they be able to pull this in? If we're talking solar?
No, because I think behind the scene, we researched that, and they,
Oh, okay.
yeah. That would be a great thought, but
Would the electrician for the town, even though he's an electrician, would he know how to put solar up and,
Yeah,
Install.
so town uses an electrician a lot, and that's who I'm gonna reach out to.
yeah, why don't we,
Just to give a little perspective, those are pole top lighting down.
come downward, thank you.
okay. Why don't we, have the DPW director check with the electrician, town electrician, give us a price.
Okay. And we'll have to,
Yeah, let me do some legwork. If I
Can we have
run
it done for
into
the next meeting?
stone walls, I'll let you know.
all right, so we'll get that,
Technically, if we
'Cause
don't
we
have
are
any
really
lighting on
out.
the tree, on the flagpole, technically, we're supposed to take the flag down every night.
Right, that is flag etiquette, you're correct. Yep,
So we need to get
and we've
this
never
done.
done that for years, which
Yeah.
is, we've
So-
really,
I know.
I'd like to,
it's shame. I mean, I'm not,
I'd
I'm
like to
just,
make a decision by next meeting, and at the next meeting, and have it installed before July.
Now, of course, Leominster has a nice flag display driving in their cemetery, and I wonder if we could just spot a few other cemeteries and see what they've done for lighting. Is it on top, base mount?
okay.
Yeah, I can reach out to Leominster.
Okay.
So it's,
Another person to reach out to, she's always been very helpful, and I'll take this on, as I'll call Jacqueline over at Forest Hill and Fitchburg and see what they do. And that will give us something. Sorry. So we can do that, so I will call Jacqueline on that piece.
okay.
So I think, again, in the next meeting, I'm just going along, and then to get us back, is that the oldest section of the gravestones washing and repair project, I think we need to discuss. I think it's going to cost us, if the numbers are still true, $38,000.
Talk there for just a second.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, Dave, you gonna handle it?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. She just looked confused.
Oh, sorry. Is the numbers that we were given by Leominster Monument was around 38,000. I think that's in your master plan. And I think, again, we need to talk to make sure that's still the same amount, and how to phase that, again, look across what we have for money and how we're going to handle some of
Yeah.
these projects.
Was it 38,000? I'm going through my records.
I have it right
We had
here,
a,
that you had put 38.5.
yeah, so I think 38.5 would take care of all of the older headstones.
And that was both north and south.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the older ones, the 1700s, 1800s, is almost 2,800 stones, and about 1,000 of them need some kind of repair.
I think we need to
I'm
do
sure
like.
they all need a washing.
Right. I think this commission, if you two are in agreement of it, is put like a high-level whiteboard and saying, okay, what is the most critical things we need to do today? Because we only have so much money to do it with, and to see how we're going to phase different things in, like the skirt needs to be done. Did you have that quote
I
for
couldn't dig
South
it up for you,
Cemetery?
but we do have a quote to do it. I'll dig it up for you.
Okay, so I think that's another important project that we haven't done. We've got Fish Street that has to have, again, I know that Mr. McGrath is going to do it as a donation, but we have to buy the supplies for it, and right now, we don't even have a quote on that. He will get it to us later as the months appear. He said he would like to get it done by
In the
fall
fall.
time frame.
Yep.
So I think that's important. I think, again, go ahead, we only have a few more minutes, but do you want to, where we need more time, do you want to table the DPW maintenance plan and really, you and I meet, go over the most important things, and then bring it back here? Or what's your
Sure.
thought?
That's okay with me. I just ask, explain what you're looking for in that maintenance plan a little deeper. I don't quite know what else to give you.
Okay, well,
So-
I can,
Yeah.
this is my 2 cents on it right now, and if anybody else has anything, I had notes here, here they are. So, this is just my interpretation of the plan. It's a good high-level plan. I think what we're looking for could give us more detail with dates on the operational sides. You're acknowledging, again, the standards that we've put into place on our new plan that is put in place as far as rules and regulations. We appreciate that. But I think that's where it lacks, is we need to know, like, for instance, what caught us off, whatever caught wherever we are today as far as what the cemetery looked like. We just can't keep having that happen. We have to know, and I know sometimes it's hard because winter is either longer, shorter, whatever, and how to best do that, and where that comes into place as far as, by this date, we're gonna have this done, or by that date. And then if you have to move it out because of the weather, then we figure that out. I guess that's my thought.
Well, from what I understand, to take care of the lawns, you need the grub killer to go down. We need to know the dates that that's going to go. You need the bug and weed killer to go down. We need to know when that's going to happen. Otherwise, if you don't do all this stuff, you're going to have the lawn continue to be the way it is. So we need to find out the cost of doing this, and actually what you're going to do to maintain, so we don't have the grub. So it's a grub and weed killer, the lawn killer, does it need loam or not? When you're going to do the mowing, is it every other week or every week? It's all part of a maintenance plan. And make sure that we use stuff that is not, that it's.
Biodegradable,
Yes, so that it doesn't kill the animals. And,
and we have wetlands right behind it, so
Right.
there has to be a lot of dotted i's and crossing of
So-
t's.
that's what I mentioned earlier, is our superintendent well-versed on doing all this, because I don't remember, since I've been on the board, any grub killer or anything going down. So is he well-versed? Has he taken courses on knowing what to do and what to put down? So that was just my,
Well, if I can interject too, I joined a few cemetery preservation and maintenance and stone sites. So putting chemicals down has to be used with caution for
Right.
the stones.
right,
That would be my primary concern, is effect on the stones. So we would really want to network and find out what are these, for grub control, weed control, and fertilizer.
That's what I was
compatible,
mentioning, yeah,
yeah.
very good.
Is that something that we could reach out to Lakeview and/or Gatsby? I had Gatsby in here before you came on, Mike, last year. They were supposed to follow through, and unfortunately,
I didn't.
they didn't, because they were going to take a soil sample to say, what are we missing in that soil that may be also causing this? So if anybody has any ideas going forward with it, again, or Bill, if you have any thoughts on it,
Can we ask Lakeview to do that?
Yeah, so, the pesticides, herbicides, that requires a license.
And you
to
don't have.
apply. Right, we don't have one in town, so it would have to be done by a contractor. Just, it hasn't been done in the past. Yeah, we did bring in the former owner of Gatsby Grounds to talk about what needs to be done there. His suggestion was to seed it and then overlay it with a top dressing, right? That'll put the nutrients back into the ground that it needed for the grass to grow. He gave a cost estimate, kind of off the top of his head,
wasn't it 50,000?
$50,000.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So again, everything costs money to do, and and it may have to be phased. Grab the ones that's the most area. And that is another point with, there is some families in the town that are very upset that they've had their loved ones buried a few years and they still don't have grass on it. It's not, they've put seed down, the DPW has tried to put seed down. We have to figure out where in that area it's not catching it because of the fact that you can see where the person's buried, and it's very upsetting to them, which I can understand. So I think we have a lot going on there that needs to be addressed, and put it into a list and say, okay, what things are we hitting right now, and so on and so forth.
Is that something that you can bring to the next meeting? Can you do some investigative work or have somebody go with you to the cemeteries and maybe have one of us go also so we can be there?
Yeah, we can reach out to Lakeview and get their opinion.
Okay.
Okay. And I'll let you know what the grave
Yeah.
sites that I've been told, and if there's anyone on your side too, or you, then we can make sure we address it. Any thoughts on?
No, I agree, and like Dave said, I think this needs to be mapped out by the calendar, by the season, not, we
Right.
will do this if we see this.
Right,
Like you said, like lawn maintenance, it's going to have to be, on these weeks, we're doing grub control. Every year, on these weeks, first fertilizer, if the budget's there, that, you're gonna walk through and do this plan just as if it was, a country club or a home or
right.
parks, or how about possibly who maintains the high school fields and property? Do they have expertise in this?
That's a good point, because I walked there this winter, and it's absolutely wonderful over there with
So
the grass. Do you know?
I don't, but I could find out.
what is their protocol?
Yeah.
Do they have a schedule,
Yeah,
they
and what's
just
their
go through it?
schedule, right? That's a good point. And the most important thing, again, because we have people there, we have children there, we have, again, it is not a dog park, obviously. It is a cemetery first, but, there are people that do walk their dogs around the area. So and the biggest piece is because we're sitting right on that conservation land. We don't want anything happening there. Okay. Is there anything else before we adjourn? And we'll table some of this, like we said, which will come back to the maintenance plan, and anything else that we didn't address today.
What's that?
Good.
You good? You good?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and we adjourned at 10:35.